Hello, everybody. Welcome to this short segment on referencing. My name is Jennifer Smith, and I'll be taking this segment with you. So, I will start first by defining what referencing is. It was definition was provided by Microsoft Support, and it says a cell reference refers to a cell or a range of cells on the worksheet and can be used in a formula so that Microsoft Office Excel can find the values or data that you want that formula to calculate. So, I'll give you a quick example. I have two numbers here, 2 and 3. So, if I want to find the product of 2 and 3, I can easily type in Excel equals to 2 times 3. That is one method of doing it. But if I had a range of data to calculate, and instead of typing out every single number one by one, I can reference this formula, and Excel will just look at what is in the value in the cell and do the calculation and still give me what I wanted to give me. So in this case, I could just do equals to this, referencing this cell, times referencing this cell, and it still gives me the answer that I want. So in referencing, we have three different types of referencing. We have the relative referencing, the absolute referencing, and mixed referencing. So I'm going to take each different type and give different scenarios and examples of how we use them. So the first type is, which we use every day, is relative referencing, where when you make a reference and you multiply a particular two different or you use a formula and reference different cells, wherever you shift your formula to, it will make reference to the position at which you had initially done the calculation. And even if you shift it to the next cell, it still uses the same position as you had done the initial one. So I'll show an example. So on my screen here, I have a table that has like multiplication table. So it has these numbers here, which I want to multiply by 2, by 3, and by 4. So this is like a simple formula. I could just type my equals to 2 times this one, right? And I press the answer and press enter. If I want to make this formula continue or take it down, instead of typing it a second time, all I need to do is to drag it down. So in this scenario, in this case, this formula is referencing what is on the same row. So anywhere so if I drag, since I drag the formula down, if I click on this formula, I'm expected to see the formula to be at the same level as which I had clicked it on initially. So that's how it is. So assuming in this example, like let me try a different method here. Instead of multiplying it with the number on the same level, I decide to multiply it with a number on a higher level, like for this multiplication table. So I could do equals to this times this. Notice the position of where I started my multiplication. It is a step lower from the beginning. Now instead of, maybe let's say I made a mistake. Instead of multiplying it with 2, I typed 1 instead. So when I drag the formula down to fill the other cells, it follows the same example. So in each referencing, it still follows the same pattern I used in the first instance, where the number on column F is the same level as where I want the answer, when the one on the column C is higher. Anywhere on this particular row that I click on, it is showing the same pattern. So in relative referencing, you don't lose the pattern at which you clicked to for the formula. So wherever you want your formula to be, it's all you need to do is copy it and paste it there. And if it's the same kind of the same kind of calculations you want to do on a different data, it is for to carry the formula to that position, irrespective of where it's on the cell on the spreadsheet. So it's not fixed, it's not absolute reference to a particular number, so you can move the formula around, and it's very, very versatile for use. So now I believe we're all very conversant with the usage of absolute referencing. It's really helpful in calculation, especially when you are multiplying a particular number to one number, and you, if wherever you want to move your formula, you don't want the formula to shift, and you want it to still make reference to that singular number at that you have as a constant. So here I have another multiplication table that I have created. And in this one, I want to multiply these numbers with these ones at the top. So these ones are the ones I want to keep my absolute referencing on. So these ones I've colored blue. I want to make them to absolute reference my multiplication to them. So like explained in the previous class we had, to do absolute referencing, you need to click on F4. In some keyboards, if you just tapped on the F4 button, their absolute referencing would be automatically activated, and it will put the dollar signs at the correct place. While in some other keyboards, you may need to press your function button, your function key. Your function key is next to the control key on your keyboard. Once you hold that down and press your F4 button, you should see the same dollar sign. So if you try it out on your keyboard and if you try it out on your keyboard and pressing F4 doesn't work, try holding down the function button and press F4. It should work for you. So in this example, I want to multiply these numbers by the ones at the top here, and I want to make absolute reference to them. So what I'll do is I'll type equals to this multiply by this, and I'm making absolute reference to that. So the dollar sign comes before and after the D, and it's also in between the letter and the number. So this absolute referencing means that I have made the formula such that I'm referencing anything, this particular cell is not going to move across the column or down the formula. So I'm fixing my formula in that cell. So now if I drag this down, the numbers would calculate automatically, meaning that everything I have here, it's multiplied directly to the top. So if I do the same here for 3, that means the only thing about this particular method is that if I want to move to the next number, I would have to type the formula again, exactly like this. And then I drag down. Then if I want to fill the next the next column, I will also need to type the formula again and fix the referencing again, and then have it like that. So this is for absolute referencing. So now the next one, it's a little bit technical. It's called mixed referencing. And in mixed referencing, you have the option to be able to make your formula such that you only your referencing can move across rows, or it can move down. Like I showed you in this particular one, where no matter how you drag the formula, assuming I delete these ones here. Now, no matter how I drag the formula, if I drag it across like this, sorry, my formula is shifting, right? So this here the formula was C5 times D4. Now since I dragged it across, it's now D5 times D4. D4 has not moved, but what is moving is this D5. When I look at this next column, I will see that it's now E5 times D4. D4 does not change, but this one that I didn't put, this first one I didn't reference, has shifted. So even if as I drag this down, if I check here, this D4 is still at D4, while the E12 is since it's on relative referencing, it has shifted to this position. So in mixed referencing, you get to choose how you want your formulas to be. You get to choose which direction your referencing can move. Should you move across your column, like I mentioned before, or down your rows? So I have two different examples here for mixed referencing. The first one is now talking about referencing down the rows, meaning that what I'm referencing is in this column. As I drag my formula down, it should follow me, but if I drag it across, it should not move. So in this, I have two different tables here, and basically these are just erroneous data I put together, and this is supposed to be to show a total number of participants that attended a particular training in three different countries: Nigeria, France, and India. So let's say the training was done 10 different times in each country. And in each of the countries, we had the total number of participants for each or for all the countries. And then we had the breakdown across countries. So in this table, what I want to do is I would like to find the percentage of participants per country. So the formula to find the percentage participants is equals to this divided by that. That's simple. But then I want to convert it to percentage so that I can see it better. So it's like 55% of people attended in Nigeria. So, but if I drag this across, I'll get a wrong value because the formula is shifting, and that's not what I wanted to do. So what to do in this situation is, since what I'm referencing is in this column, and as I shift my columns to the right, I don't want it to move along because I want it to still be the denominator. And as I move down, I would also want the denominators to change down the columns. So absolute referencing will not be the ideal thing, because if I do absolute referencing, it will only make reference to this first column. So what I'll need to do is I'll go back to this, my denominator. That's the number I want to, the value I would like to make make a reference, to put the mixed referencing on. And I would press the F4 function several times. So the first time makes it such that there's a dollar sign before and after the data. This means absolute referencing. The second time I click on it, I click tap on the 4, puts the dollar sign in between the letter and the number. While the third time I put on it now shows you, puts the letter behind or in front of the number. So this is the one I want to use. So as I do this, I drag it down, I can see that in this first row, my number, that's the first number, 309, is divided by the denominator 559. If I check on row 7 here, the denominator 229 is divided by 554. That's what I want to get. So now, if I drag across again, what do I get? If I double click on France, I can see that 71 is divided by total participant, which is exactly what I want it to be. I made it such that my denominator is fixed, and what is has relative referencing is my numerator that shifts along with me as I'm doing the formula. So I can just do this and quickly drag down, and if I do a quick check here, I'll see that, oh, wonderful. If it's in columns is row number 7 under India, which is 119 divided by 549. Then let me quickly move on to the next one. So this is all for referencing down the columns. At the same time, we can do referencing across the rows, such that if I drag my formula across the row, my depending on what I want to reference, if I apply the mixed reference into it, if I drag my formula across the columns, the number that's been referenced, or the value that's referenced, stays the same, while the other ones can be shifted. So now I'm looking at the total. I'm looking at in depth in each country, and seeing these same people that attended the training in that specific period. I've put months here, and I've also added the totals per country. And I want to find out the percentage of participants if for each month for each country. So what I would want to do is to find the total the percentage of people that attended the training in January. I'll say equals to this divided by this denominator, 5,314. And I'll change this to percentage. After fact, let me make this whole table percentage so that it makes more sense. So if I drag this down, you notice that it's to say it's given an error message saying that it's division by 0, which is not possible. This is because I didn't put any referencing, and as I've shifted, this is relative referencing. As I'm shifting down my formula, the formula is shifting down as well. So to stop this and to make it such that I have my denominator fixed at each time, that it doesn't go down with me, but at the same time, if I want to drag it across, it moves across with me. That means it will change from, if I'm in the Indian column, the denominator will change from this one to this place. If I'm in the France column, it will change from India to France. But then if I'm going down, it should still be fixed on these totals. So what to do is, I will come back to my denominator, press F4 the first time. The first time, like we all know, gives us the absolute referencing. And then the second time gives us the one that we want to use. And I'm going to use, after this example, I will use a trick that I use to remember which one to use at each time. So now if I drag this all down, I'll see the formula has moved down. So if I check it, I'll see that yes, my number is 716 is divided by still by my denominator. The denominator has not shifted. It's only the numerator that is shifting. If I check this one here, it's still the same denominator. Now, if we move across the table, if I check this one, the numerator has shifted, but the denominator has also shifted, but it's shifted along with the formula. It has not gone out of the table. It's not going, as I'm shifting down, it's not going out of the table. But if I shift right, it's moving across the table like how I want it to be, because it's supposed to follow the numerators and move. So that's all for mixed referencing, and there's a lot you can do with mixed reference. You can do you can combine mixed referencing with absolute referencing in certain formulas, so it's a lot to do. So like I mentioned before, how do I know which one to use each time that I'm working on Excel? So I'm going to just show a quick example I use. So this is absolute referencing. Okay, this cell is absolutely referenced to cell A1. So a quick thing I use is if I want to see if I want to have referencing that is going across the columns, I like to look at it like this. The dollar sign is in between the one and the A and one. And I think of it as it's pointing in the direction I want it to go. So let me just quickly bring like arrows, draw like two arrows so that it can help me in my demonstration. Okay. So um the dollar sign that is in between the letter and the number, I like to say that it's pointing to the right direction. It's pointing in right. So meaning if I wanted to go across the columns, I need to have my dollar sign in between the number and letter like this, like in this method, like this here, like this. So it's pointing in the direction it wants to go to. Meanwhile, if I want the dollar sign to I want it to be absolutely referencing down, I need to have it like this. The dollar sign before the letter, meaning I want it to go down. So that's how what I use to remember it. So, or if you that's it's not, or if you feel like okay, you may need to get used to it, you can actually keep practicing and get used to it, and have your own method of knowing it. But this is just a quick way I use to remember it. If the dollar sign is in between the number and the letter, it means it's going right across like so. And if the dollar sign is if the dollar sign is in between the um letter and number like this, it means that it's going in that direction. If the dollar sign is before the letter like this, to me it mean that it's going down the column. That's just what I use to remember it. So thank you so much for this time. I do hope that this brief video explained what I was trying to explain about absolute referencing and relative referencing and mixed referencing. Thank you.